Hello and welcome. This is Astro South.
Hello.
I am Renee Namakau Baba.
And I am Christopher Peace.
Thank you guys for coming. We're going to be talking about Lovecraft Country episodes 1, 2, and 3, all in a bunch together.
Yes, the best way.
The
Since
only way.
we're not behind on times, but at least we could offer a different perspective by combining all three together.
Yes, I think that's just blessed because guess who's always on time?
God,
Aha!
God, T.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
This is the way that we're going to review it and just have a good time with a show that we love and appreciate and find challenging at some points and
Yes, challenging.
challenging to say the least. But it's going to be a great time in the Lord. Hallelujah.
Yes, indeed. So,
Where should we begin?
well, let's begin. Let's dig right in. So, I remember you talking about your favorite episode or favorite part. I guess we could start there and then just work from the middle outward.
Okay, so my favorite part was definitely episode 3. I love that
Okay,
episode
yeah.
because
Hmm.
it was focused on the Black woman in the story and because it kind of revealed a lot of truths and showed a lot of power and strength in finding your own voice and
Hmm.
connecting emotionally with yourself, especially when you have been disconnected. So, for those spiritual reasons, I love it. I love that they finally got a Black witch in there, even though who knows what she was doing
Right.
and what was going on with her because
Right. What religion is this?
what religion? What's happening? Where is she from? What's
Right.
like just had no backstory, no nothing. And then she got there and she was being unprofessional at her job.
Hmm.
But besides all that, besides all the error that was in whatever they were trying to present in that moment, I found beauty in like healing even after death. The
Mm.
power of connection. I like
Right.
that. And just the truth of who to get the power that they need to be powerful. And I think
Right.
that's what really showed through with the ghost, the white ghost particularly, because his power was very, very much so dependent upon black bodies. Even the dead black bodies had to make him more powerful.
Hmm.
And because he needed so much, he needed a life source, like the
Right.
camera, the pictures, the actual bodies of the people he was, trying to possess.
Exactly. Hmm.
Yeah, so that was my favorite part. And then the woman coming into her power, figuring out like what she can use, all the tools that she can use, Christianity, whatever
Hmm.
religion was they were presenting there, something that was kind of
Hmm.
African diasporic.
Right, an African diasporic mishmash, but yeah.
Okay, in the pot.
In the pot, yes.
Oh yeah, so that's kind of what I appreciated about what they were presenting. We can
Hmm.
definitely dive into like what they just did on their own.
Yeah, it reminds me of again how, of course, every time the media or kind of like a popular show, Hollywood broadcasts an African traditional religion of some sorts. I mean, it's really not that accurate, I guess. Or not that realistic in the way that it actually happens or how people actually engage with spirit. I do think that it was important, like you said, that we saw the spirits come together, join hands. It's important that there was this blurred line between what is material and what is immaterial, what is spirit. So I guess when we do look at movies, we people have to present that visually in different ways, right? So in ways that may not necessarily be um, so close to the spiritual truths of it.
Mhm.
Um, just like I don't know if it's a spiritual truth that Oya priestess would be easily possessed by this
No,
white man.
no, a
So I don't
weak white
know.
man at that.
Yeah, who could like easily be cast out by the unification of the spirits and the people who are trying to cast them. So it's, I mean, I don't know, just the blood on the. um, forehead, and then water is the thing that let's just pop some water on and it's gone. So I don't know, but other than that, I still think visually it has to be presented in a way that's obviously consumable for a larger audience other than African diasporic audiences. Um, so yeah, I mean, I can get with that, but still at the same time, as we mentioned, I feel like that if it was voodoo, right? I feel like it was a Loa. Um, I don't know how voodoo looked in Chicago around that time.
Right.
Um, but still at the same time it was like it was very Christianized in ways,
Mhm.
even the way that the music was set up on that episode in particular. It had a lot of like gospel songs, Christian songs. So I feel like there was kind of a merging of kind of like what is acceptable to the Black American palette or even the American palette,
Right.
and then bringing in Oya and voodoo was kind of like the undercurrent of that. So
Yeah, just say it seemed like, baby food. Like, okay, y'all, this
mm,
is a little bit of African spirituality. Take it, eat all of it, or something like that. I just feel like for all of the powerful things that it presented, it can truly be a disservice because,
right.
like you said, if it's Christianized, then there are ways that Christianity and voodoo are creolized in Black community. So that could have been
Right.
presented because there's so many different ways that we see, even today, like using olive oil to anoint
Hmm.
somebody's head,
Right.
casting out demons, praying for people when they go outside, when they come back in, taking the shoes
Hmm.
off. Like there's so many different things that we call superstitions, like using salt
Hmm.
on the bag, sweeping a certain direction. There's so many beautiful things that are already embedded into what African diasporic creolization of religions.
Hmm.
And I feel like that could have been presented and that would have been equally as powerful just to show just how connected we are to some things that we remember.
Right.
And then there are even deeper ways that there probably was like a voodoo priestess on the street or whatever. Everybody knows
Hmm.
who she is. Everybody knows what she's about or whatever.
Hmm.
And she has to have very strict practices. And I just feel like when they presented the priestess, she didn't have it wasn't a structure to her
Hmm.
to what she was trying to do because she killed the goat like we talked about last time. We never saw the goat again.
Hmm.
We just saw the goat blood. Nobody got bathed, cleansed, nothing.
Right.
Nobody got prayed. We
Where's the
didn't
goat's body? Where's the body?
exactly. Where is it going? Having a backyard would have been important in whatever custom or tradition or ritual they were trying to do. No candles. We didn't see no candle lit, no nothing, no head covering. It was just so much stuff that was missing that is structural. And I feel like the other types of witchcraft that was going on in the show had a very strict structure and very strict
Hmm.
rules. Even though they were written, there are rules to what's happening because
Right.
and it's some things that since we don't know it because we have been purposely in golfed in Christianity.
Hmm.
I think presenting those rules would have been beneficial.
Right. I definitely think what Misha Green is talking about. Um, um, Something you just said reminded me of this, but how these stories are heroes who own their own stories, right? Who are telling their own narratives, who are becoming. We see elements of becoming, especially with this third episode, and how you mentioned um, how Letty reaches out to her community, right, to find this voodoo priestess who is also a woman. So she is kind of like that is kind of her own narrative in ways. And in the second episode, which is I would say is one of my favorite episodes thus far of the three. I mean, the first episode is what it is, right? Like we see the monsters, we are introduced to the world. In ways that is shocking, and in ways that's very black, like we see black Chicago and things. So it's very it's a tone setter in ways.
Right.
And then the second episode goes far out. I mean, it goes to another place, a very white place, a very white castle-like, or old slave money mansion type vibe. And what I liked about it is, of course, Atticus, or Tix, I'll just say Tix. Tix ritual at the end. I mean, the ritual that he was forced to be a part of,
Right.
but still at the same time, excuse me, this ritual empowered him to be liberated at that moment through his ancestor, which was Helen, right? His ancestor,
Hannah, I think.
Hannah, who had the book and things like that. So during the ritual, of course, the white man, I forgot his name, George. So is it George?
Mm-mm. I don't know his name. I just call him Fitzgerald Grant. I don't know what his real
Fitzgerald Grant. Okay.
From Scandal.
Oh.
I don't know what his name is. I forgot what his name was. I just called literally.
I don't know if it's George or not, but I put I put white daughter. Never mind. Anyway, not George, because George is the uncle.
Yeah, George is the uncle.
Christina Daddy.
Christina Dad. That's who he is, because he dead
Christina
now. Daddy.
Basically was doing the ritual to enter back into the Garden of Eden, right? To enter back into a most sacred place for that, I guess, white supremacy thinks that it has lost, right? The sacredness. So it still needs to like penetrate a time that once was a time where he saw was a co-creation with God, right? So he said Adam was a co-creator with God. But anyway, my favorite part was basically when Atticus was doing the ritual and the light comes from his chest and kind of like moves up and works its way out. Because I definitely think that's kind of like the pathway of salvation, the pathway of liberation. Like it starts with the heart chakra and it goes to the third eye, right? So it has to be birth in your heart and it has to be understood in your mind. So I feel like that all of that was led by Hannah. Okay, all of that was led by Hannah because she was the one that initiated it with the opening, the yonic opening of her interaction with Atticus. So, and she's the one that ran, and he ran after her. So the feminine divine really was the overarching point to all of that, in my opinion. That the feminine divine was the one that destroyed the white men and destroyed the whole place.
Right.
So I feel like it's definitely giving feminine divine energy, even though the whole thing was about, the sons of Adam and maleness and very masonry, like it was a Masonic vibe during that whole second episode and the interaction. But yeah, so anyway, that's my little favorite part.
I love what you're saying about the feminine divine, like destroying this kind of patriarchal structure, because so much of what I think that's what they did like super well is kind of building us up to what we already know patriarchy to be, and showing us the shift, like the dismantling of that through something that is not necessarily their tools, like Audre Lorde would say. You know what I'm saying? So it's like this kind of very different approach to destruction, and that is like transforming your mind and your body and having an awakening through the womb and connecting with the past to kind of destroy a system and not like working within it, which is what Christina is trying to really do. I think Christina's fault is really that she's really working within a system to destroy the system. And Anna's like, I did this before. I came here last time and I had to burn this shit down. So I'm coming back before. And do it again. Thank God right now.
Yes.
So she's coming in like definitely understanding with her own sacred knowledge which I would love to see what Hannah remembered the first time to make everything fall apart. Because I feel like
Right.
Hannah did it the first time, she did it the second time. So
Right.
like
Right.
this analysis she had from her own lineage, how does Attic become this even more powerful person because he's learning all these things that he's from his lineage, and
Mm-hmm.
like what really causes destruction, like what really is going to tear the systems down, what's really going to
Mm-hmm.
destroy what's happening.
Yeah.
And I feel like you talk about the feminine divine making that happen, and
Mm-hmm.
Attic like really connecting with that
Right.
that way helped to destroy the system. But Christina survived from that system.
Right. Right.
So she's trying to still reinstitute that same kind of hierarchy
Mm-hmm.
in her
Through
own way.
whiteness and through
Right.
race, and really. Um, yeah, I just thought about how really the feminine is in a place of kind of like chaotic destruction and a lot of a lot of what's happening in
Right.
these three episodes. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
um, the we see Letty kind of like arguing apart from her family. We see Hippolyta having to mourn the loss of her husband. We don't even see Uncle George being shot, but we see Letty being shot and,
Right.
like
Right.
shot and then brought down to the ground. And, so
Mm-hmm.
it feels like there's a lot of, the feminine is really connected to kind of like a dishevelment, but I don't know if the dishevelment is a word, but this, disruption
Right.
still that still at the same time restructures things,
Right.
for new things to happen or new things to move or grow or something like that. So,
Right. And I think that because a lot of times we see in a lot of shows the violence towards women is
mm-hmm,
chaotic, but with no redemption, no structure,
right,
just whatever it is. And I feel like
mm-hmm,
for this show, that's a good point that the chaos or the grief, the destruction, the scorpion type energy that
mm-hmm,
comes with this womanhood is reshaping what's happening. Because when Letty dies, she has a very public death, a very
mm-hmm,
I mean, you see everything from beginning to end, and you see her resurrection. And with that resurrection comes a disconnect. But as she's connecting, it's creating something even more powerful and even more new.
mm-hmm,
With her getting a house, that's going to, I feel like, going to be a pivotal or like an important structure throughout the series. I'm hoping, and connecting with different types of tools to
mm-hmm,
destroy past systems or past things that are like that plague us, like homelessness and not having affordable housing, having joy, like not being able to enjoy self as much. So she goes and she creates that joy, and then she protects that joy at a very, very
mm-hmm,
great cost to her. Preserving history with photographs and things like that. So all those things
right,
really she continues to build upon those things to create a new sense of community, even through
right,
her own tragedies and griefs.
for sure. um Definitely, and I think connect the third episode to the second episode with the priestess being a priestess of Oya, or I don't know if she's a priestess of Oya, but calling on the spirit of Oya, which kind of is a metaphor for everything that has been happening, especially how we see women and throughout these episodes, and how we see Letty, like Letty kills a woman already, right? I mean, I don't know if Atticus kills anybody in the first. I don't remember that much, but I know we see Letty like chop the woman in the head, in the tower, and she falls down to the ground. So Letty is in a position, she's smashing windows in the third episode. She's being tossed around the police van in the third episode. So ex- she's definitely the experiencing like elements of power that are complicated within colorism and within in these masculine systems that people are forced to be in, I guess. And I
Right.
guess just like Christina, I think we drew a connection between Letty and Christina in ways that how they use race and use certain things to kind of like gain access to things. Because with Letty, I mean, I don't know if this was about her colorism, but especially the third episode where she's arguing with her sister Ruby. Um, Letty was like, "Well, Mama gave me all the money," even though that was obviously a lie. So, like, why be like that, or why act like someone's giving you more favor than your darker skinned counterparts?
Right.
Then and then of course, as you mentioned with Christina, she's still like she's her daughter, she's her father's daughter, right? So
Right.
like you could tell her father still taught her probably her magic or taught her everything that she knows, but she's still trying to help, but still using kind of like whiteness to say, oh, not all white people is going to kill you. That's not how you're going to dismantle
Right.
white supremacy, right? So and it's I mean, it's not deeper than that, but it's deeper than that, right? Like white supremacy is deeper than just, oh, there's a few nice white people.
Exactly.
um so again, I do feel like I like looking at the women in ways that, like, obviously there's a lot of other stuff going on than just Atticus and his coming to
Right.
power and all of this. So
Yeah, and I feel like colorism does play a part in what she imagines for herself, what she believes
mhm,
that she has access to, and what she can believe about herself.
right,
I did a speech on colorism, and what one of the biggest revelations was that dark skinned people get a lot of messages all the time about what their place should
right,
be. So it's
mhm,
like not just on TV, it's like literally at school when you're around adults who talk about you and your skin color or their skin
mhm,
color in relationship to you. Like, I never let my child go out in the sun, or they always seem to tell
right.
you about it. It's like, I'm telling
Stay
you,
under the shade.
I'm telling you about the things that I do to protect my children from getting dark like you. And I'm just like, I don't understand why I need to know those messages or why those messages are important to me, but you get them all the time. And just in other cases, other people get messages about where their place should be or what they should have access to. So it really affects your mind a lot if you
Mhm,
constantly get a message saying that this is where you should be, or this is where this person should be, or this is what you can imagine about yourself. Even in the second episode where the Grand Wizard, whoever he is, Christina Daddy is doing all this power
Christina
and
Daddy.
imagining about Eden and
Mhm,
like luxury, which Christina and Letty and him, like there is a call for a hunger for luxury and a hunger for
mhm,
whatever access to power awards you privilege and comfort.
mhm,
And with all that being said, like they all kind of reach for that in ways that are destructive to other people.
right.
Whether Letta does it intentionally or not, um, is neither here nor there because the impact is felt, especially by
Right.
her family members. But then Ruby, Ruby's a little hard on her
Mhm.
because I mean she has to be because Ruby got to live and
Right.
take care of her needs and she doesn't seem to be a married person, so she's a single woman and she's an
Mhm.
artist and she has so many dreams for her life and she has to and how does that play in their relationship, and I'm interested to see what happens with the two of them.
For sure. Yeah. Um. Gosh, I had something to say, but it slipped me. Uh, but yeah, I definitely think Ruby is a hustler, and of course, she doesn't have as much access in ways that Letty has access, right? Um, and I do like that she has soul. I mean,
Right.
she's characterized as having soul, whereas Letty is more nomadic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Atticus is nomadic as well, but still, they're both in ways nomadic in different ways. So yeah.
Even like her being a singer, like
Hmm.
a soul singer or whatever, like it's all these hints at what really livens her up and what really gives her like grounds her honestly
Hmm.
as a
Right, right,
person. And
for sure.
who knows which value is more important, because
Hmm.
I feel like social mobility is something that is robbed from Black people, especially during this time, during the time of segregation, the
Hmm.
era. Like being mobile is
Right.
essential to what the American dream is, because the American dream is about moving somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's driving a car or getting a job at a place that people normally have access to,
Mm-hmm.
buying a house in a white neighborhood.
Right.
It's all about like the ability to move and to go around. So it's like being a nomad. It's just like accessing
Right.
the privilege of being an American citizen, and just who knows what is the right way to exist in a society that tells you don't move.
Right.
Like, do I just not move? Or I'm like Uncle George and I write books about how you can move? Or do I take pictures of what's happening in the world so everybody can have access to, so they can move in their mind and about what's possible? So like,
Right.
it's, who knows how do you survive? But it's just, I like to see that, to see their philosophies come together and kind of clash. And I'm hoping to see how they can mix together and be more fruitful.
Right. Yeah, I definitely like that part about movement, especially how we see it each. I mean, really in each of the episodes, right? Like white supremacy is the thing that is hindering movement. I mean, in the first episode with the police, and the second episode with them literally being trapped in rooms, and the third episode with them not being welcomed in a house that they bought, right? So, or that she's bought. So like movement is really important, and I guess being a nomad is a privilege in that way, especially for Black Americans, as we see the opening scene. Well, like when he was on the bus, at least, and like moving that way, then he would have to be kicked off the bus and then walked the rest of the way, I guess, because that was a racial thing. And it interested me too when Uncle George was in the room in the second episode, that he was reading a book called House of the Borderland. So I just thought about Gloria Andulza. I'm sorry if I am saying that wrong, but like the Borderlands, just being a space of kind of like identity is blurred there, right? And it's like a space of like contention where people are kind of like fighting over territory, but in ways Uncle George was already, I mean, I feel like that was a foreshadowing of his passing in ways, because he was already kind of like on the bridge of life and death, right? Like teeter-tottering. He was seeing, I guess, who was his old wife or ex-wife?
I think it's like his lover, but it was his brother's wife-ish.
Oh, ish. Wait a minute.
That lady is Atticus's mother, so we know that to be true. The brothers both love her, and one of them marries her in whatever sense of marriage, because Black people, we do what we want to do, and we have a good time doing it. Yeah, but they were like they were a family. That was a nuclear family unit between Atticus's dad and his mom, and the woman that appeared to him.
Right. So yeah, I definitely think him opening up the bookcase and like accessing things was kind of a foreshadowing of that. But still, we don't see him being shot. Again, we only see Letty being shot. We don't see Uncle George being shot.
Right.
But yeah,
and we don't see him die either. We just see him.
Yeah, exactly. We don't see him die.
Wounded, and then he's dead, and just like, I feel like it just robs Atticus of the, I mean, I guess it could be Uncle George protecting himself or protecting Atticus from seeing him die in that way, but it just kind of robs him of the, the power to comfort his uncle in that moment. But yeah, it's interesting we don't see Uncle George die or get shot.
Right.
And it's telling.
Very telling.
I'm interested to see what happens with the Korean woman who comes. I feel like the woman in the beginning opening scene, like the Princess of Mars type alien woman, comes and kind of saves him and also warns him And then I think she is represented by the woman on the phone and also the woman that he fights in his fantasy dream.
Okay.
So I'm interested to see, and they could be probably two different people or things, but I'm interested to see what the past holds, what Atticus is holding from the past, because we didn't get a chance to hear it because Uncle Doris cut him off. He was like, he's about to tell the truth, and then Uncle Doris said, "Don't, you a good person, you're a good man, don't even worry about all that." But I'm interested to see like what, because I feel like there was probably somebody magical that helped him in Korea and told him, "Look, don't go back home. It's gonna stop popping." And he did it anyway. And he was like afraid to confront her with it because he never said anything. But I'm interested to see what happens with that and like what's that all about.
Right. Because all those, probably everything that he's experiencing from that is from that time that he fought in the war or was forced to fight in the war or something like that.
That whole scene reminded me of like how it feels to be a singer, like an opera singer. It's just like, or any type of Black artist, or just a Black person, period. But like, it's always about, it's very performative and it's manipulated by the people who have control, and you're gazed upon and watched, and you know, without access to your own sense of self. Or control of your sense of self, because it has strict rules about how you can present yourself, and are created by people who don't look nothing like you, and people just watch to see what you're gonna do. And it was a very interesting scene. It was uncomfortable to watch, but I'm saying this is real life. That's how it is all the time, and it's like, even on being on Twitter, like people are just watching what are Black people gonna do next. What can how can they entertain us? How can they fuel what?
Voyeurism.
Hey, it's something else. It was an interesting thing. I thought it was played out very, very, very well, because it's very, very true.
Right.
Because people like watching and consuming us all the time.
Right. What else do you think is working well with these 3 episodes that we've seen?
I like the themes that they always present. So like I pick like the things that I like, or that I feel like kind of give us hints. Like light was a big theme in the first episode. The second episode was, what was the second one?
Forgetfulness or
memory. Oh, yes, I love. Like if I could get a degree in memory studies, like how do we know what we like, and how do we know what we remember, and how's memories manipulated. And language plays a big role in how memory is manipulated, because neither here nor there. Memory plays a big role. I like that. I like the third one the theme was blood and noise, and like the how noise plays a part in healing, how blood plays a part in covering that healing. Blood plays a part in making covenants and connections and things like that. So that's that's happening well. But yeah, the memory part, I love memory, because memory can be distorted. Like how can we really remember? And with a white supremacy, thinking about Eden in the past and stuff like that, white supremacy lives on the fact of what was great in the past. Like it cannot exist with it's an obsession with the past.
Right.
Because after slavery ends, Reconstruction is going on. White people are building a narrative about what slavery did well, and why we are
a false narrative.
A false narrative about Southern belles and Southern gentlemen, and how happy the Black people were to be working and productive, and to have some kind of sense of structure goal provided by us. So all this obsession with what the fake past was ties into what we remember, and how that memory impacts what we do next. Because Letty is like, I don't remember what happened, so I'm finna eat. I'm hungry. You know what I'm saying? So I can continue this path because the memory has been shaped for me, or stolen from me in that way. And
it's very like reactionary, the way that it's working, right? Like it like goes back and tries to reshape what the past is to kind of still bring about the elements of oppression or supremacy that they're trying to hold on to by literally defining or reshaping a false past. I mean, just like Christina Daddy didn't really tell Atticus that he was, a part of this lineage, right?
Right.
If I'm not mistaken. I'm a
Mhm.
part of all the sons of Adam, the order of the ancient dawn. Like, what is all this? But still, like, all of that was held secret from him, and he was trying to just basically use him as a tool. And I
Right.
feel like that's what's happening nowadays with Black people. Like, all
Mhm.
this stuff has happened in the past, and we're still being used for object for something that was a slave economy,
Mm.
for something that started out, as a slave economy,
Right.
literally. And that's why white folks have money, that long granddaddy money,
Okay.
right, from the slave economy.
Right. From a slave, and it's just like I don't know what's going to take for people to realize that nothing about this was fair
Right.
or equal. So how can we continue to build on a foundation that is faulty?
Right.
It's always going to end up looking crazy like it does now. It's always going to end up
Exactly.
looking like this because
So
it's
the whole house need to be blown down.
house got come down again.
All right.
And the
Right.
people, and I feel like Christina is like doing the work of trying to like by one, because the ghost is a son of Adam, which
Mhm.
somebody pointed out on Twitter. So she has to, I feel like she knows that she has to destroy them in death and in life.
Mm.
Um, but still, she got that little taint of like her
So the
will.
ghost in the third episode and stuck in the house is a son of Adam?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And somebody said that it's like in the picture that they show of him, he has that ring on.
Oh, okay.
So it's like she trying to destroy what she don't like, but use the things that she does like the power and the money, which is built on the stuff that she hates in the first place.
Right.
So I mean, how can we really move forward?
Mm.
But yeah, I love the part about memory and like what people can remember, forget,
Hmm.
what people see, the fantasy of it all. Like I love
And
that.
how that's blurred, right? How all of it's kind of coming together. It's not really separate in a lot of ways. So,
Right,
yeah.
right. Because
Just
like
like, go ahead.
no, I was about to say because when Atticus and Letty were together, I was just like, okay, what's happening here? Because it's confusing to me. Because
Hmm.
in the fan, I didn't realize that there was because I was like, there's a tick over here and there's a tick over here. So is this two different time periods?
Oh, right, right, right,
I
right,
was so
right.
confused, but yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I was, well, I thought it was actually happening, of course, until, of course, the next scene where it was Atticus in the room fighting the other woman. So,
Right.
yeah, that was definitely a weird, like, liminal space. Again, trying to control identity. I feel like that's still another way of like tapping into the pain of who they are and then putting it right in their face.
Mm,
Um, yeah, because I
yeah.
definitely think that Atticus is kind of like a Christ figure, especially in the second episode. But
Yes.
still, Letty still has her own path of becoming, with the snake dick that comes out.
And Vice in the
Um,
third episode.
right. And which reminds me about Atticus's ass,
Yeah.
his butt, which we've already seen twice within these
How are
three
we so lucky?
episodes. We're blessed, highly favored.
Hallelujah. Oh yes.
But one of my friends, Jamal, who he was talking about how HBO series love showing booty.
Their favorite thing to do is to show some people having sex,
Right.
honey.
Love showing the stakes.
Right. But
And we're glad.
that's what I remember about HBO. Like we could not watch HBO because it was so nasty.
Right.
It was so risque.
Hmm. And
But
that's why, I guess.
they
Well,
know
we could watch it because we could afford it. So we didn't even have the option, but I
that.
heard about it on the grapevine.
But yeah, they know what their demographic is and they know what their money
Right.
is. Okay. They said we
Exactly.
like the show. Okay.
Exactly. They're appealing to the American public, which we have to remember. All
Right.
these shows are appealing to the American public.
Exactly.
No
Oh,
matter how much I want a real voodoo, show, like that's probably not going to be in the budget of anybody's care bank to even
yeah.
consider.
Not the budget of the care bank. I love the
Right.
care bank
Right. That's what
because
we need.
there's an infinite amount of money bank, but care bank,
Right. Not. And
no.
those two are often connected. So
Right. Right. Exactly. Okay. When a care bank goes, the money bank goes.
exactly.
But yeah, it's very interesting. I love how they brought like the little snake dick back to bite him.
Not Lil Snake Dick.
Whatever it was, it was
Right.
to bite her up in that second episode, in that third
Right.
episode, which was interesting to see her
Mhm.
bleeding out and stuff like that.
Right. You're talking. Which part of the third episode again?
Oh, when they were having sex in the bathroom.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just making sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
It's interesting. My favorite thing is like showing how women's protection is tied, Black women's protection is tied to Black men's jealousy, rage, sense of control, because there's a jealousy that brings Atticus to Letty in that moment.
Yeah.
There's a jealousy that causes him to act, and through that jealousy causes her some sense of I'm not gonna say harm, but her sense of extreme pressure.
Right.
That she
To do something.
And that she doesn't get a chance to grapple with him. She kind of has to grapple with it on her own. But then now that when the baseball scene happens and there's like the guns out, that all of that kind of protection comes at a cost to Black women, and they really showed that very well.
Right. I mean, and it's still so traumatic in ways, the ways that some things are just kind of inbred in things, the way that we see Letty bleeding, and then like, sometime later she has a bat, she's just like, and then she's in the police thing. So that's a lot on the body already, right?
Yeah.
So it's just so traumatic almost to think about that, but that's basically what Black women had to do, what Black women still have to do today, when Black men who are the weakest link literally have to stand up, and Black women have to stand up and fight for us and have to fight for oppression, and Black trans women are really the leaders of the gay movement, right? So I'm just like, there's a lot on Black womenhood,
right,
across all walks of life, basically, when it comes to protecting land, protecting our lives, protecting what's ours.
Yeah, and I love how, and it just foreshadows to basically what's happening. Like, I'm doing all this stuff and I'm giving my life and I'm sacrificing so much, but what am I, like, literally gives her life for what Tick is trying to do. What am I getting? Like, how am I being filled? And it's just, I don't know, like it hasn't been fulfilling to me. In this fantasy show world, I hope that there's some type of fulfillment that give us some kind of joy. It could not, or whatever, but it's just like, so this thing happens and then there's still like a super big empty space that is not being fulfilled. But then there's protection, which looks, protection is what it was. George is protecting his Hippolyta from going on the road with him, so she won't get. But that's still like an emptiness because he's gone. Right. So then now what?
Exactly. What's next?
Yeah.
But Tick has been around Hippolyta for some time because he feels guilty, but Hippolyta knows that they're lying to her.
She got the spirit of the Lord. Hippolyta got the spirit of the Lord in her.
Right.
Jesus is telling her that she is something not right.
Exactly. There's a stir in her spirit. Something stirring her out.
I'm so looking forward to like how she comes into her own. I want to see some astrology and astronomy.
Yes,
like she has
more magic.
Yes, more magic for Hippolyta, because I feel like she does have magic, and I'm in my fantasy world. I feel like she already knows how to use it, how to access it, and all that kind of stuff. and she like sees that the solar system or whatever in that room that has nothing. The room doesn't really have that solar system, it doesn't really exist, but she
Right.
can kind of see it, and she kind of really taps into those worlds.
The cosmic. Yeah.
So I'm interested to see like what happens
I
with her.
found this card of Hippolyta. I can't know if you can see it on my ring light, but
Light.
I should have shared it on my screen, but whatever.
Okay.
Next time.
Yeah, I love her. I saw the one with Diana, and I love her. That little girl is so cute, and she can act. Baby Jada can act. Baby Jada be acting.
Diana.
Okay. I love Diana, and I love how even though she's younger and she's a baby, she still is carrying the same weight that the other Black women in this show are carrying. You know,
right.
She has to deal with the grief of her father, and she's creating art and trying to, she has a little bit more innocence to her and a little bit more hope. But I feel like with the death of her father came the death of that hope. And with the Ouija board situation came some more depth to that hope and that innocence. And just not having comfort even in the friends that you have. It's interesting that she kind of has the same kind of chaotic things going on in her life, but we just don't get to see it play out because there's still a level of innocence and hope.
Right. A protection, even obscurity. The ways, right, but like the acting, it goes beyond the words. Yeah, especially, well, I did like Atticus's response to George's passing. Like it was really an intimate moment, or like it was really embodied the way that he was crying, and the way that he was like bouncing and stuff. So it was real human in that way. And the way that before he went to the car, Letty ran up to him and wasn't even saying anything, and she like communicated with him non-verbally that George had passed. So the acting really is great in a lot of ways, but I definitely want to see more magic and just more of the people of the episodes using magic upright. Like if there's monsters, like of course there's has to be something else, right? So.
Right, there has to be something else. It's already a fantasy world, so let's just go fantasy. Let's go there.
Right.
Yeah, but the acting is super. I mean, the cast is just phenomenal. I mean, y'all is doing y'all work. I mean, literally like dream job. Like they are working and just really setting like a precedent of talent and what you can bring to the table, and how you are also a part of telling that story. It's just a masterclass in acting, honestly. And,
right.
Yeah, the show, they are doing such a great job to make this world possible and make it real and tell us things and teach us things and and like
Atticus.
Yeah.
Right.
Atticus what?
Atticus is hot and and like I saw something on Tumblr of him. It was just like some pictures. I'm like, oh my god! Like I didn't even know. Where did you come from?
Okay. So you're gonna show up, huh?
Right.
He is the real magic of this show.
He is.
He appeared out of nowhere.
Right. That's the magic. And I mean, Journey, she has been in a lot of Black movies, like Blackity Black, like Blackity Black since Eve's Bayou, right, to now, basically. Like it's always been drenched in Black culture, and we really appreciate it.
Yeah, so grateful because she brings it.
Other than that Tyler Perry movie, that was a little weird. But other than that,
about that was Black. That was just a different spectrum.
a different spectrum. But yeah.
It's a range of experiences.
I mean, I still like the movie though because of her. But yeah. I could tell it's a Tyler Perry movie. But yeah.
I don't remember what happened. Right.
Don't remember. Versace gets AIDS like every other Tyler Perry movie.
Yeah.
But at least the man wasn't cheating this time. It was the woman cheating. So.
I feel like the woman is always the problem in the movie.
Tyler Perry movies.
Not a problem with the Black woman. Like she's never not a problem. In the
really,
movie.
Starting with him. But anyway, this isn't about him. We can.
we in
we
this.
can, we can spend another podcast on.
Tyler Perry,
Yeah, but
the
yeah,
man we love.
exactly. But yeah,
All right. Well, we hoping to see some more and see what happens on Sunday. We could be all
mhm,
wrong. We could be all right.
right.
But we'll definitely be back to talk about it.
Yes, that part.
Thank y'all so much for joining us. And
Yes, it was fun.
where can we follow you, Chris?
Co- where can we follow me? I'm on Twitter sometimes. It's Congo Cosmo, KONGO KOSMO. But yeah, and I'm on Instagram too, but I'm not really. I don't post much. I'm just in the stories.
In the stories was hilarious.
Yes,
It's worth a follow.
yes, hit me up if you want memes. So
Yeah. And I'm at Queen Umbaba on all platforms, and you can find me there. But thank y'all.
indeed.
All right. Hello. Welcome to Afro South. What are we? Afro South. Okay. I love you.
We're Astro, right? Is it Astro?
Who are we?
Right.
Golly. Okay, we got it. Okay.